U.S. officials are concerned. U.S. officials are concerned that Vladimir Putin is keeping military units positioned near Kyiv despite earlier promises to withdraw. Putin's failure to pull out has earned him the nickname Nick Cannon.
It was announced that later this month, Elton John will marry his longtime partner, David Furnish. So, sorry, ladies. Counting on Rudy to carry out your secret mission is like handing your grocery list to your dog. It was also revealed that after President Trump was warned that Rudy was being fed misinformation by the Russians, Trump just shrugged his shoulders and said, "That's Rudy." Thursdays on CBS. A museum in France is using an AI-generated version of Vincent van Gogh to answer visitors' questions about his paintings. Unfortunately, the AI keeps responding to questions with, "What?"
Announced Thursday that Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius, who oversaw the troubled launch of the Affordable Care Act, is resigning from office. Sebelius says she's stepping down because she has so many more things she wants to barely accomplish.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, seen here remembering his presidential campaign, signed a bill that will ban social media accounts for younger teenagers. But Florida's older teenagers can keep their social media accounts because they need a place to post their sonograms. Biden also took time in his speech to say that shrinkflation is affecting Snickers bars and that people pay the same amount for 10% fewer Snickers. And I got to give him credit because it's pretty risky for a white guy with a stutter to keep saying the word Snickers.
Wait, new data shows that middle school students have only made up a third of the math skills they lost during the pandemic. Their math was so bad, they didn't get it when I texted them, "You plus me equals 69. Colin, wow. Okay. Yesterday, Mike Johnson, whose position as House Speaker is in jeopardy, traveled to Mar-a-Lago for a meeting with Donald Trump. And boy, is his jaw tired. All right. The House Ethics Committee released its report on George Santos, seen here asking your grandma for her Social Security number, and concluded that there is substantial evidence that he used campaign funds for shopping and cosmetic procedures. Santos would have denied the allegations, but he had to rest his new lips.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if Native Americans are asking us for anything, can't we just give it to them? We've basically treated them like Milton from Office Space. We just keep moving them to worse and worse areas and pretending we're doing them a favor. And this one spot in North Dakota is their stapler. Just let them have the stapler. Because remember, at the end of Office Space, Milton snaps and burns the entire place down. And oil, famously flammable.
Or should I say littlest? Oh, your war with Drake may be over, but your war with Michael Che is just beginning. So to quote Hamilton, shoot your shot, player.
President Biden marked the end of his first year in office with a 2-hour press conference because that's how long it took to list everything that's gone wrong. It was actually the longest presidential press conference in history. But as I have been told many times before, just because you went for a long time doesn't mean you did a good job.
A bat used by Jackie Robinson was sold at auction for more than $1 million. The bat is considered to be so valuable because Robinson used it at an All-Star game and also to get back to his car safely.
A martial artist in Australia punched a 7-foot-tall kangaroo that was trying to drown his dog. Australia, where life is a Mad Lib.
Keep telling your grandfather I'm not his nurse. Newly confirmed Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, or as I've been calling her, Belle Biv DeVos, was blocked from entering a school by protesters. You know, I can't remember this many people freaking out over cabinet positions. My white friend asked me, "Can you believe they're putting Ben Carson in charge of the projects?" And I was like, there's somebody in charge of the project? Since when? Who the hell is he replacing? The Crips? Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has endorsed Bernie Sanders for president. And damn, another young woman turned into an older man promising to pay for college. You hate to see it, Colin, you really do. Netflix.
It's hard to do. See? JetBlue and Spirit Airlines announced that they are canceling their planned merger after a federal judge told JetBlue, girl, don't. The conservative media organization The Daily Wire said they'll spend $100 million to create children's programming to counter woke media companies. Programs will include Clifford the Big Straight Dog, Encanto, but in English, and One Fish, Two Fish, that's how many fish genders there are.
Hey, President Biden made a drastic change in his immigration policy, saying he would be willing to shut down the border if given the power by Congress. It's the kind of unexpected shift in direction Biden usually only makes in the middle of a sentence. The Biden campaign is trying to appeal to black voters as polls show their support for Biden has declined. It's getting so bad, he now only has support from Obama's white half.
This week marks the 50th anniversary of the classic Walt Disney World ride, It's a Small World. The ride features over 300 animatronic children united in the shared goal of perpetuating stereotypes.
A worker on a cruise ship heading to Alaska was arrested for attacking 3 passengers with scissors. He was eventually subdued by a passenger with rock. I like this crowd a lot, man.
A family in Michigan whose duck lost its mate placed a personal ad online to find the bird a new partner. And in a loving act of understanding, they even specified power bottom. Mostly the same, but Trump's version ends with Jesus' disciples storming Jerusalem to overturn the results of the crucifixion. Trump also posted this video urging his followers to buy it.
All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many.
O.J. Simpson died this week at the age of 76 after a battle with prostate cancer that was planted on him by the LAPD.
One of Hugh Hefner's former girlfriends revealed that the Playboy Mansion is haunted. She knew it was haunted because if you turn on a black light, you see ectoplasm everywhere.
Scientists have trained a goldfish to drive a car. They believe it's the first step to eventually training women.
M&M's announced that they've redesigned their iconic M&M characters after people requested that the brown M&M not look like a teacher who has sex with her students.
The record for the world's oldest dog has been broken by a 21-year-old Chihuahua named Timothy Chalamet.
Disneyland's Snow White ride is being criticized because Prince Charming kisses Snow White without her consent while she's asleep, which still isn't as bad as Universal Studios' new Cosby the Ride.
O.J. Simpson's new fitness video was released this week, and hitting the shelves next week, Simpson's newest video, Dorf on Stocking.
Apple announced that after 20 years, it will stop production of its iPod Touch because Apple products become obsolete once they're older than the kids who make them.
This week, Britain's most eligible bachelor, Prince Andrew, officially deleted his Twitter account after he realized that's not the app with all the dancing teenagers.
The head of Chicago's police union is urging officers to defy the city's vaccine mandate, which is weird because usually Chicago police can't wait to take the shot.
A professional golfer in Florida was arrested after he tried to meet a 15-year-old girl he met online who turned out to be a detective. Said the golfer, Mulligan?
Come on, man.
Sadly, there's more. For those of you wondering, in golf terms, a 15-year-old is 3 under par.
And the Pope came out with a book this week, which contains a series of essays examining faith and morality in today's secular world and the changing role of the Catholic Church as it approaches the 21st century. The book is entitled, God Himself Told Me That O.J. is Guilty.
You know, as a man, there's no way I can understand the full impact of this issue, but I asked a bunch of women around the office what their personal experience was with abortion, and I got to admit, I learned a lot from the HR meeting they made me go to as a result. Doctors say that a man who came into an emergency room complaining about chest pains had a 10-centimeter chunk of cement lodged in his heart. Wow, anyways, he's dead.
2 Barbie dolls were launched into space for the first time ever aboard the International Space Station. Finally, they're gone, said 2 Ken dolls.
A charter plane service in Las Vegas is offering people rides to nowhere so they can have sex in the air. Oh, fun, said a polar bear in 60-degree weather. There's some dark jokes, man.
In his book, O.J. Simpson says that he would have taken a bullet or stood in front of a train for Nicole. Man, I'm going to tell you, that is some bad luck when the one guy who would have died for you kills you. That's probably...
A bat used by Jackie Robinson was sold at auction for more than $1 million. The bat is considered to be so valuable because Robinson used it at an All-Star game and also to get back to his car safely.
Delta Airlines has introduced a new plane that features windows in the bathrooms. Unfortunately, they face into the cabin.
The population of Los Angeles has fallen for the 3rd straight year. Well, it's like Colin always says, LA is just not the same without Harvey. You always say it, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. That's cool. The Rolling Stones announced they will no longer play their 1971 song Brown Sugar, which is about having sex with a slave. Something I wish I'd realized before I chose it at karaoke.
Singer R. Kelly was found guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking this week, but won't be sentenced until next May, after R. Kelly's lawyers successfully negotiated one more school year.
A Brazilian man had to undergo emergency surgery after he got a 4-pound dumbbell stuck in his anus. He then shoved it back up there and said, 2. Anyway, that's why you always wipe down the equipment.
Well, let's get to O.J. O.J. Simpson's lawyers say they don't want the families of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman in the courtroom during the trial. They're afraid the presence of the family members will just remind O.J. of how much more killing he still has to do.
A new report shows that female doctors over the course of their careers make $2 million less than men. Oh, that's just not right. I mean, female doctors?
A British woman discovered when she got pregnant that she had a second tiny vagina. Yeah, da butt.
A British woman was shocked when she discovered a 4-foot-long python in her toilet. But hey, that's Indian food for you.
You wish you could go back to the Grand Canyon joke, yeah.
Well, O.J. Simpson's lawyers stopped feuding this week, finally. The Dream Team, F. Lee Bailey and Robert Shapiro, were able to put aside their differences and express their admiration for each other after O.J. threatened to cut their heads off.
Senator Mitch Mitch McConnell, seen here learning that Betty White has died, warned President Biden not to outsource his choice for the Supreme Court to the, quote, radical left. Coincidentally, a radical left is also what McConnell takes to purposely run over stray dogs.
Lego has announced the release of its largest set ever, a 9,000-piece replica of the Titanic. Unfortunately, hundreds of those pieces are just frozen Irishmen.
An 81-year-old pharmacist in Pennsylvania was arrested for allegedly trading drugs for sexual favors. Wow, so he's a pharmacist now. Oh, that's good.
OJ's pal Al Cowlings now has a 1-900 number. For $2.99 a minute, Cowlings will tell callers that OJ is innocent. And for $3.99 a minute, he'll try to do it without laughing.
The horse that played Seabiscuit in the 2003 film has died at the age of 24. So let's pour one out for a legend.
A TikTok went viral of a squirrel that appeared to be holding hands with a woman. See, it's like Che always says, gay marriage is a slippery slope.
Classic. A 220-carat diamond known as the Rock will become the largest white diamond ever auctioned off. Wow, 220 carats. I mean, can you imagine the size of the child who mined that? It's huge, man.
Happy Mother's Day. President Trump denied claims that he uses racial slurs in private. And in Trump's defense, I think a lot of times people just assume Trump is being racist because the way he says any word makes it sound like a racial slur. Take a listen to these.
Puerto Rico. Jewish people.
The media. Mexican. Woman.
China.
Blacks. Obama.
Merry Christmas.
Melania.
President Trump was acquitted in his Senate trial this week, and Democrats are calling it a cover-up. But does this look like a guy who can pull off a cover-up? Oh my God, it's like the day at the nursing home when they let the residents put their own makeup on. Trump's Buttigieg's campaign has released a viral dance video set to Panic at the Disco's High Hopes. It's all part of Mayor Pete's strategy to get a negative percentage of the black vote. A teacher resigned after she talked in class about programming robots to shoot and kill students. Her resignation should give her more time at home to work on her army of killer robots. A Mexican woman, thought to be the oldest person in the world, reportedly turned 127 on Sunday. Despite her age, she said she's still living la vida kill me.
The new Star Wars surprised fans by featuring a gay kiss, which seems pretty tame considering the first movie had incest.
A man in California was kicked off a JetBlue flight after bringing his pet possum onto the plane. While at Spirit Airlines, that's what falls down when you need an oxygen mask. Well, archaeologists in Egypt have discovered a 2,000-year-old gymnasium, which featured a workout room, a racetrack, and based on my experience in gyms, the remains of an old man blow-drying his testicles.
The New York Daily News published an editorial calling for New York to legalize marijuana, saying that the current laws primarily hurt people of color. But since it is the Daily News, the headline read, "Pot cigs catch nigs."
I'm worried about this one now. An auction of Nazi memorabilia was held, which featured items such as Hitler's top hat and Eva Braun's dress. And it's tough to auction off Nazi memorabilia because everyone always looks like they're bidding. Thank you. Some applause.
I liked it. Negative gender stereotypes keeps boys from reading. And I was going to read more on this study, but what am I, gay?
Relatives of an 11-year-old boy in England were fined after they got fed up with the boy playing Grand Theft Auto too much and let him drive a real car. Also fed up, the prostitutes he tried to run over. Hidden Valley is now selling a 5-liter keg filled with ranch dressing, though the keg will only be sold in states that allow assisted suicide.
A new study finds that sheep have the ability to recognize faces. So remember, farmers, always hit it from the back. O.J. Simpson's parole.
IHOP has opened a new casual version of their restaurant called Flipped. Because who hasn't walked into a regular IHOP and thought, well, this is just way too formal?
The group 1 Million Moms is boycotting the Hallmark Channel for airing a commercial featuring a same-sex couple getting married and kissing. Ladies, relax. If your kid is watching the Hallmark Channel, he already gay as hell.
Congress has passed a temporary extension that will prevent a government shutdown this weekend. So for now, a government shutdown is just when a woman tells a senator to pull his pants back up. Then you'll like this. 3 members of Congress resigned this week after allegations of sexual misconduct. And you know what that means. Time to open 3 more doors on our sexual harassment-themed advent calendar. A popular porn website has suffered a massive data breach that exposed users' identities and credit card numbers. Wait, which porn site? Said your husband just now? The Scripps National Spelling Bee has announced a change to next year's contest after this year's Spelling Bee ended in an 8-way tie. The new change? Knives. A shepherd in Germany has discovered a rare geep, which is a sheep-goat hybrid. It's believed to be the first sheep-goat hybrid to be discovered since Kid Rock. What?
I mean, if I were trying to prove the superiority of the Aryan race, I wouldn't use Stephen Miller's face. I'd use yours.
Yeah, you don't have to make that point.
Don, do a split screen of Colin and Stephen Miller for 1 second.
You don't have to do that.
Okay. Now, audience, by a round of applause, who do you think Hitler would want to be friends with? Dennis Rodman is claiming that a letter he sent to his friend Kim Jong-un helped free American aid worker Kenneth Bae from a North Korean prison. The letter read simply, Bae, free Bae, love Bae.
MTV has launched a spin-off of its hit Jersey Shore series set on the coast of Alabama and Florida called Florabama Shore, where the cast members can contract gonorrhea. A mom in Wisconsin told police that she found a packet of meth in her child's Halloween candy, right after police asked her why she was raking the leaves naked at midnight. You're gonna get me murdered. Well, this is a terrible transition. This week, Alabama passed a near-total ban on abortion.
According to a new report, in 257 years, women around the world will be paid the same as men. So stop complaining. In a recent commercial, Planters Peanuts announced that the company mascot, Mr. Peanut, has died. In accordance with his wishes, he has been cremated. The New York City Commission on Monuments has decided that statues of controversial historical figures such as Christopher Columbus will not be torn down because it's just not what we care about this week.
General Motors announced that it's making a line of self-driving cars that has no steering wheel, no gas or brake pedals, no windows, and it's a coffin. A British cafe has introduced a new breakfast called the Hibernator, which is 8,000 calories and contains bacon, sausage, cheese omelets, waffles, toast, black pudding, and beans. And if you're able to finish the entire thing, they'll even make a plaque with your name on it. Police in Philadelphia are investigating claims that Flyers mascot Gritty punched a 13-year-old boy in the back. But I just can't picture Gritty doing something like that. I mean, look at him. He wouldn't punch a kid in the back. He's more of a leap out of the shadows and stick you with a syringe kind of guy, you know?
South Dakota's governor is defending a new anti-meth campaign which features the tagline, "Meth, we're on it," which isn't as bad as North Dakota's ad campaign, "Cocaine, we cracked it."
The maker of M&M's announced a new vegan chocolate candy made with a plant-based alternative. So I guess the real news here is that apparently regular M&M's are made with meat.
M&M's, we have the meat.
Family in Florida was sickened recently after buying steaks from Walmart that were allegedly laced with LSD. They described them as the best tasting steaks their ears had ever seen.
The restroom at Pennsylvania's Longwood Gardens, which is built into a wall of plants, has been named America's best restroom. It was also named America's most disgusting garden.
President Trump held a press conference today to educate the public about the coronavirus, but I'm not sure it worked because, according to a new survey, 38% of Americans say they won't drink Corona beer because it sounds like coronavirus, while the rest won't drink it because it tastes like syphilis. A group of people in England are organizing a Star Wars-themed orgy, which is just an orgy where you find out the guy in the mask is actually your father. A new study finds that marijuana resin sold on the streets of Madrid contains a dangerous amount of fecal matter, begging the question, what's a good amount? A new plane that features windows in the bathrooms. Unfortunately, they face into the cabin.
What's up, everybody? We're making each other read jokes live on air that the other person has never seen before.
And the idea is to keep it fun, light. No one's going to get canceled. No one's families are going to get threatened. You know, have fun.
Sure, we'll see. Well, why don't you go first?
Many doctors are saying that they have a hard time convincing their black patients to agree to take the COVID vaccine. Well, maybe they should try telling them it makes you immune from paying child support.
Whoa. A new interview with England's Prince Andrew is being called a total disaster after he said his friend Jeffrey Epstein conducted himself in a manner unbecoming. I don't know. From what I've read, it sounded like he becoming all the time.
A church in Massachusetts has created a nativity scene that comments on the immigration debate by placing the baby Jesus in a cage, where he belongs. Warner Brothers is producing a new movie in which Superman is black. And a black Superman actually makes a lot of sense when you remember that Superman was abandoned by his parents as a baby.
Researchers are testing a new method to treat cancer by injecting the cells with the herpes virus. So good news, if you've ever had sex with me, you might have the cure for cancer.
I just thought of another punchline for that black Superman story. Black Superman will be referred to as the Man of Steel, spelled S-T-E-A-L. Well, I knew you'd like that one, so here's another one. Warner Brothers is producing a new movie in which Superman is black. In this version, black Superman's kryptonite is an honest day's work.
Whoa! Doctors in Iowa have confirmed a dog disease that can be passed on to humans. Fine, I'll wear a condom. Oh, wow. Okay.
An obese monkey in Thailand named Godzilla has been sent to a special facility to lose weight. Officials realized the monkey was overweight when a bunch of black guys kept hitting on it.
That's pretty racist, Colin. It was revealed that the sequel to the movie Hocus Pocus is in the works for Disney Plus, which judging by this picture is a movie about every white woman I've ever slept with. Cool.
Recent polls show that Pete Buttigieg has only 4% support among African Americans, but that'll change once Pete announces his running mate, the Popeyes chicken sandwich.
A new study shows that the average American touches their mobile device more than 2,000 times a day. Only 2,000 times, said my penis.
A student in Texas, who is nicknamed White Lightning, set a high school record by running the 100-meter dash in 9.98 seconds. Coincidentally, people call me White Lightning because I also finish in under 10 seconds.
Las Vegas is opening a pop-up vaccine site in a strip club. And don't worry, the strippers say the vaccine is a lot like Michael Che. Very quick, and you can barely feel it go in.
This week marks the 65th anniversary of Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat on an Alabama bus. And I just wish that all black people could follow her example of sitting down and shutting up. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, for the first time, denied months-old rumors that he had died and been replaced by a look-alike from Sudan. See, even Africans can't tell black people apart.
Pope Francis ended a Vatican summit by promising the Catholic Church would confront the clergy sex abuse head on instead of their usual way, face down, ass up. The Palm Beach mansion, once owned by Jeffrey Epstein, will soon be demolished. And I'm honestly shocked that they would demolish a place where I have so many fond memories. Rest in power, King. Police are being investigated after video surfaced of them using excessive force on a homeless black man accused of urinating in public. But I say great work keeping our streets clean, boys. Yes, sir. Anything the police do is all right with old Mikey Che.
The bat used by Babe Ruth to hit his 500th home run was auctioned off this week. Also, I'll be auctioning off the bat I used to keep my neighborhood white.
A new report shows that Hurricane Florence was the wettest in history. The previous record for wetness was set on the opening night of Magic Mike.
A new report finds that as people move into formerly wild areas of Africa, human activity is disrupting chimpanzee culture. Incidentally, chimpanzee culture is also what my grandpa calls hip-hop. Why? This week, construction began on a new hip-hop museum in the Bronx. And I know that we've had a lot of fun with me reading racist jokes that Michael writes for me. But because our country is already divided enough, I'd like to use my platform to say something that everyone of all races can agree on. Woody Allen is innocent. Okay, it says, okay, time out. I refuse to read this last joke, not because it's racist, but because there's a black man holding my cue card. It says I can't work like this, so Merry Christmas, homeboy, you're fired. Last week was National Rosa Parks Day, or as we call it in my house, uppity bus passenger day. A substitute teacher in North Carolina has resigned after she reportedly told a class of elementary students that Martin Luther King Jr. killed himself. In her defense, he is the one who decided to keep running his mouth. Why? You're going to get me murdered. It was announced that Creed singer Scott Stapp will play Frank Sinatra in an upcoming movie. But the good news is Sammy Davis Jr. will be played by Scarlett Johansson. Louisiana police arrested a man for shooting his 18-year-old son during an argument over orange juice. It's considered the second worst crime that OJ is responsible for.
McDonald's announced a new Oreo Shamrock Shake. Coincidentally, Oreo Shamrock is also what Colin calls Obama.
A new survey lists the best city to live in the country as Boise, Idaho, while the worst city was once again Rat Orgy, Delaware.
A California company has created a new marijuana-based vaginal suppository to help women suffering from menstrual pain. And ladies, if you're lucky, it might give your boyfriend the munchies.
Taco Bell is selling a strawberry Skittles Freeze made with Skittles candy. You know, Mexican food. Just like mi abuela used to make.
A new report shows that Hurricane Florence was the wettest in history. The previous record for wetness was set on the opening night of Magic Mike.
A woman was arrested in Florida after she stole 4 watches and hid them inside her vagina. Officials became suspicious when the woman took a licking but kept on ticking. A new study lists the best city in the U.S. to raise a family as Moscow, Idaho, while the worst is once again Handsy Uncle, Maryland.
I know that place. According to reports, Kim Jong-un has not been seen in public for over a month after injuring his ankles. And not, as I had hoped, because he's traveling around the world in Dennis Rodman's backpack.
Golf Digest magazine has created a controversy over a new cover featuring 20-year-old golfer Lexi Thompson posing with only a towel covering her breasts. But before you call them sexist, they did the same thing last month with Arnold Palmer. Military officials have announced that they will increase missions to train, advise, and assist troops in the African nation of Niger. The focus on Niger is viewed as a direct challenge to President Trump's autocorrect.
A gay couple in Wisconsin says their landlord has threatened to evict them if they don't take down their gay pride flag. And it is truly shocking to me that in 2019, there are still gay people who haven't left Wisconsin.
A man in New York State was trapped inside his car for 10 hours overnight when a plow covered his car in 4 feet of snow. Even more amazing, his wife believed that story.
A candy store in Los Angeles has created a 440-pound peanut butter cup. It's called CeeLo.
And now owners of the Brooklyn bowling alley where the New York doctor with Ebola visited are having the entire facility professionally cleaned, thus making it no longer technically a bowling alley.
A housing developer in Arizona has created new apartments costing $1,000 a month that are made out of shipping containers. It's all part of his plan to trick Mexicans.
Peloton is being called sexist for a new ad showing a wife obsessively using a Peloton bike that her husband gave her. But at least they decided against using the slogan, Peloton, you better keep it tighter than the babysitter.
Elon Musk defended himself from allegations that he reportedly exposed himself to a flight attendant on his private jet, saying, quote, if I were inclined to engage in sexual harassment, this is unlikely to be the first time in my entire 30-year career that it comes to light. Ooh! Ooh, sorry, we were looking for a simple did not do it. The answer was did not do it.
Colombian veterinarian has been charged with allegedly smuggling heroin inside of puppies. This according to the very dark sequel to The Secret Life of Pets.
In an effort to draw attention to National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Minnesota, more than 10,000 bras were hooked together and hung from a crane. Well, I do not want to know how Minnesota celebrates Black History Month.
Scientists are working to develop advanced ultra-black materials that are so dark they absorb 99% of all light. Oh, sure, but when I try to develop ultra-black material, I'm booed at the Apollo.
The annual New York City taxi calendar has been released featuring pictures of topless cab drivers, while a calendar of Uber drivers is available on the sex offender registry.
Oh, God. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, for the first time, denied months-old rumors that he had died and been replaced by a look-alike from Sudan. See, even Africans can't tell black people apart.
First Lady Melania Trump, or as I've been calling her, sexy-ass Michael Jackson, launched a campaign to stop cyberbullying called Be Best, as in, it would be best if you got a divorce.
Krispy Kreme is marking the landing of the rover on Mars by offering a limited edition donut modeled after Mars. It's different from their usual donut, which is modeled after Uranus. Many conservatives in Texas are falsely blaming the state's power outages on renewable energy sources, while other conservatives think that the power outages are more likely the result of gay marriage.
A nail salon in Queens called Isis Nails has finally changed its name after suffering harassment from locals who thought the store was connected to the terrorist group. Though I don't know how much better things will be with their new name, Nail-Qaeda.
I'm worried about this one now. An auction of Nazi memorabilia was held, which featured items such as Hitler's top hat and Eva Braun's dress. And it's tough to auction off Nazi memorabilia because everyone always looks like they're bidding. Thank you. Some applause. Wow.
I liked it. Harvey Weinstein has reportedly beaten the coronavirus, but there's still a chance he could be contagious. At least that's what he's yelling to anyone who gets near him in the showers. A 2-year-old in South Carolina found a revolver in the car and ended up shooting his grandmother in the back, like a coward. Which, by the way, this would have never happened if the grandmother also had a gun.
Republicans also released their tax plan this week, which explains why Paul Ryan's been rock hard since Thursday.
A man in Arizona is claiming that he can relieve sinus pressure in his nose by masturbating. He first made the claim while police were removing him from the bus.
Or this actual headline I read today, disabled chicken who survived weasel attack learning to walk thanks to custom wheelchair. Guys, just eat the chicken. In an unprecedented move that could cause lasting damage to the Supreme Court, a draft opinion was leaked, which indicates that they intend to overturn Roe v. Wade. So the court is usually careful, but they slipped up just this once, and now they've got to live with it forever. Wow. Sounds really unfair. The opinion was written by Justice Samuel Alito, and he bases his arguments on laws from the 1600s. So it's an outdated opinion from an angry 70-year-old. This shouldn't be a Supreme Court decision. It should just be a Facebook post. The opinion also seems like it was written in a weird conservative bubble. Here's how you know. He quotes his own colleague, Brett Kavanaugh, 6 times. One for each beer in the pack. He even cites Kavanaugh on civil rights, which is like citing Amber Heard on how to make a bed.
Wednesday was International Women's Day. I said was, next joke. A new study finds that despite women making less money than men, more single women in the U.S. own homes than single men, thanks to a phenomenon economists call divorce.
Divorce. As this year's awards season gets underway, there's growing movement to get rid of the gendered categories of Best Actor and Best Actress and instead call them Best Actor and Best Actor who got paid less.
And finally, Weekend Update would like to congratulate Madonna, who gave birth to a beautiful baby girl last Monday. The baby weighed in at 6 pounds 9 ounces, making it the 4th largest object ever to pass through Madonna's birth canal.
This week marks the 65th anniversary of Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat on an Alabama bus. And I just wish that all black people could follow her example of sitting down and shutting up.
Scientists have trained a goldfish to drive a car. They believe it's the first step to eventually training women.
WNBA star Brittany Griner was freed from prison in exchange for Russian arms dealer Victor Bout. It's actually a great trade because Bout was only averaging 5 points and 2 rebounds a game.
After this year's election, a record-setting 12 states will have female governors, while the other 38 states will have dinner ready on time.
This is on cards. I want to switch it up a little. Shay didn't write this one. This is all me.
I like to hear this.
Last week was National Rosa Parks Day, or as we call it in my house, Uppity Bus Passenger Day.
This week, Duchess of York Sarah Ferguson visited the Big Apple and showed off her 14-pound weight loss. Hopefully, this will not interfere with her official duties of sitting on her fat ass all day long.
It was announced that Brittany Griner has signed with the Phoenix Mercury for 1 year. Unfortunately, the WNBA pays less than a Russian prison.
Greece has elected its first ever female president, and of course, the country is already falling apart.
I like it.
Yeah.
Pop singer Madonna was outraged this week when a tabloid photographer snapped her picture while she was breastfeeding her new baby. Apparently, the baby was blocking her nipple.
It was reported that the organizers of King Charles's coronation have officially invited Meghan Markle, and this is nice, at a starting salary of $19 an hour. That seems very generous, guys.
Yeah. This will get you back. A woman in Texas allegedly dumped 3 buckets of human waste in front of a police department and drove away. It's a rare case of erratic behavior from a lady who poops in a bucket. UFO enthusiasts have declared that Hillary Clinton is the first ET candidate after she pledged to release government files on UFOs and Area 51. Unfortunately, the aliens keep all their files on a private email server.
It was reported that more than 400 million pieces of plastic has washed up on a remote island in the Indian Ocean. And for reference, here's what 400 million pieces of plastic looks like.
A new book claims that Madonna once smeared peanut butter all over John F. Kennedy Jr.'s body and then licked it off, which just goes to show you, Madonna's a whore.
Officials in Berlin announced that women will now be allowed to go topless at the city's pools. But officials also said to be aware, it's not going to be the ones you want.
Saudi Arabia announced on Tuesday that it would begin allowing women to drive. Wow, that's only a few short years after cars were allowed to drive themselves.
It was announced that Creed singer Scott Stapp will play Frank Sinatra in an upcoming movie. But the good news is Sammy Davis Jr. will be played by Scarlett Johansson. A nun in Colombia who had lived in a convent for 8 years has left the clergy to become a porn star, destroying the otherwise spotless sexual reputation of the Catholic Church.
Investigators say that the $4.5 million diamond ring stolen from Kim Kardashian will most likely be made into smaller, less valuable stones. You know, like Kendall and Kylie.
Well, guys, tomorrow is Mother's Day, whether you wanted to be one or not. In an effort to compete with Victoria's Secret, Target has launched a new bra and underwear brand for women. It's the lingerie that'll have your man saying, "Not tonight."
New medical research shows that men and women have different food cravings. Men preferring meat and women preferring sweets. Scientists trace this back to caveman days, when men had to go out and hunt for food while women sat on their fat asses eating chocolates.
A new study of female bottlenose dolphins suggests that their clitoris can experience pleasure during sexual stimulation, but sadly, their fins can't reach.
It was announced.
Do you get it?
Yeah, some owners of McDonald's franchises are reportedly concerned about a campaign partnership with Cardi B, especially the ad where they claim their burgers have a wet-ass patty.
Demi Moore says she would like to have another baby, this time a boy, to go along with her 3 daughters and 2 huge breasts.
A painting by Pablo Picasso portraying his lover as a sea creature was sold at auction for $67 million. It's a beautiful abstract expression of his love and admiration that he named Titty Squid.
Representative Liz Cheney attacked the House GOP leadership, saying they've enabled white supremacy and anti-Semitism. House leadership rejected Cheney's attacks, calling them cheaper than a black rabbi. A 10-year-old boy in Florida faces misdemeanor battery charges after he allegedly touched a teacher's breast, because under Florida law, students are required to wait for their teacher to make the first move.
You know, as a man, there's no way I can understand the full impact of this issue, but I asked a bunch of women around the office what their personal experience was with abortion, and I got to admit, I learned a lot from the HR meeting they made me go to as a result.
A British woman discovered when she got pregnant that she had a second tiny vagina. Yeah, da butt.
Thursday was National No Bra Day, which I celebrated by not supporting women. It's a bra joke.
A new survey finds that half of Americans think that in the future, having sex with a robot will be normal, while the other half are women. A woman in Atlanta gave birth to her baby in a McDonald's, so caution, wet floor.
Who are safer drivers, men or women? Well, according to a new survey, 55% of adults feel that women are most responsible for minor fender benders, while 78% blame men for most fatal crashes. Please note that the percentages in these pie graphs do not add up to 100% because the math was done by a woman. For those of you hissing at that joke, it should be noted that that joke was written by a woman. So now you don't know what the hell to do, do you? No, I'm just kidding. We don't hire women.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost. Former President Donald Trump, seen here definitely not sleeping. He's probably just praying. Former President Trump, for the first time in his trial, wrote a message on a yellow Post-it note and handed it to his lawyer while he was making an argument. The Post-it read simply, "Can't pay you." It's the first show of spring, so we'll start tonight with puppy murder. In a new book, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem revealed that she once shot a dog that was untrainable. That's insane. If a dog is untrainable, you don't shoot it, you give it to President Biden.
Officials at Columbia University complained that protesters broke windows and destroyed school property. But so what? College kids also do that when they win the Final Four. Also, you're a university. If you really don't want students to freak out, stop telling them the truth. That's my advice for school and relationships. Insiders said that during his hush money trial, Donald Trump complained that none of his supporters were in court with him. But that's not true. What about all those cops? President Biden said that the National Guard should not be called in to deal with campus protests, but I'm just happy that he's finally not sending military aid somewhere. A new poll shows that supporters of President Biden and Donald Trump are sharply divided over where they get their news from. People who support Biden are more likely to get their news from newspapers and mainstream media, while Trump supporters get their news from T-shirts. That was my best joke, Colin.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said next week she will force a vote to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson. And if there's one thing I bet she's amazing at, it's driving men away. Donald Trump also told supporters that if he's elected, he will focus on anti-white racism. Thank God. My people have suffered long enough.
During a campaign event marking the start of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, President Biden criticized Japan as being xenophobic, which is crazy because why would the Japanese be scared of foreigners? I knew it was going to come out of you someday. Today was the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby, also known among horses as Squid Game.
Florida's new abortion ban means that the majority of women in the South will have to travel more than 300 miles for the procedure. On the plus side, you can get free travel to New York by disguising yourself as a migrant. South Dakota Governor and Trump's potential VP pick, Kristi Noem, is being criticized for writing in her memoir about shooting her 14-month-old puppy, Cricket. Here to defend her is Kristi Noem's other dog. Senator Mitch McConnell, seen here being told a black woman made a country album, has come out in favor of a bill that would potentially ban TikTok in the U.S. Of course, for McConnell, TikTok is just what the Grim Reaper says while tapping his watch.
On Monday, Donald Trump testified under oath in his civil fraud trial, though technically he was never sworn in because the Bibles kept bursting into flames.
After a judge issued a gag order against President Trump, Trump told reporters that the judge said, basically, I don't have the right to speak. Then he added, she's like literally killing me. Then he yelled, you're not even my real mom, and slammed his bedroom door. It happened. And yesterday on Truth Social, Trump posted a courtroom sketch of him sitting next to Jesus.
Hey, President Biden made a drastic change in his immigration policy, saying he would be willing to shut down the border if given the power by Congress. It's the kind of unexpected shift in direction Biden usually only makes in the middle of a sentence. The Biden campaign is trying to appeal to black voters as polls show their support for Biden has declined. It's getting so bad, he now only has support from Obama's white half.
Rupert Murdoch this week officially turned on Donald Trump. First, the New York Post ran a cover calling Ron DeSantis Ron DeFuture, even though Ron DeFuture sounds more like a drag queen from outer space. Then on Thursday, the Post showed Donald Trump as an egg sitting on a wall with the headline Trumpty Dumpty, which had to be the easiest Photoshop job in history. And Trump went out of his way to praise the terrorist group Hezbollah, calling them, quote, very smart. Though in Trump's defense, he thinks Hezbollah is the genie from Aladdin. Trump has also been promoting a song called Justice for All, which features himself and a choir of men jailed for their roles in the January 6th attack. And I feel bad for the January 6th singers because, you know, jail gets a lot worse once the other prisoners find out you're in an a cappella group. Has become, I like that we restate it. California has become the first state in the country to issue ebony alerts when a black child goes missing. And hopefully the police find them before I do. Scientists have determined that the cause of the mysterious deaths of dozens of African elephants was a bacterial infection, and not Margaret, the one elephant who stood to inherit everything.
You're gonna win.
Yeah. New York Mayor Eric Adams responded to allegations that he accepted illegal donations from Turkey, saying, "I have not been accused of wrongdoing, and I will continue to cooperate." Then he put on his fez and sped away on a flying carpet.
One of the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement announced that he is supporting Donald Trump for president. And I'm going to assume he announced it during a traffic stop. The poll shows President Biden and Donald Trump are tied in a hypothetical 2024 rematch, though they're both running 50 points behind Kill Me.
Calling, "Please don't let us win."